Hello everyone and welcome to the Horror Games Tutorials Part 7. This is episode 2. If you've seen the first episode, which I released I think around a day ago, we set up our blueprint interface, and that's going to enable us to talk to all of the interactable objects that are going within your horror game. So in this video, I've noticed that there's not a lot of, I've had a look online to see how many tutorials are out there for setting up custom textures on a lamp and getting the light in and setting it up as a blueprint so it's interactable, but I don't think there's anything so specific. So I'm trying to make tutorials for people that aren't really readily available online, if that makes sense. I'm trying to find things that people can't find themselves. So then I can fill that gap so people have got something to use. So in this video, what you can see in front of you right now is we're going to create the lamp on the left, starting off with the basic lamp on our right. So we're going to change specific parts of the lamp to have an emissive texture. We're going to have a point light, and it's going to be interactable with the player, so if the player left clicks on the lamp, you can turn it on. And if he left clicks again, you can turn it off. Now, to do that, it's actually way more simpler than it sounds, and it does put a lot of people off because they don't know where to start. So hopefully this video completely, in every single possible detail and way, explains how to achieve that. So yeah, let's not waste any more time. I apologise if I cough throughout, unfortunately. I can't help it. So yeah, so let's start. So on the left we have our finished product. We can turn a lamp on, can turn a lamp off, and if you notice now, the left lamp looks like the one on the right because the texture's changed again. So we change this center part to have an emissive property when the light's on, because obviously that makes sense. When you turn a lamp on, the light glows through the material, and when you turn a light off, obviously it's going to look the same because there's no more light being emitted. To achieve this, there's a few steps, but I will try and explain them as detailed and as quickly as I can, so you can follow along. So the first thing we're going to do is if you've got this lamp, which is off the Edith Finch pack, excuse me, if you have this lamp exactly the same one as I'm using, great. If you don't, it's not a problem. It should still work for you. As long as you're using something that you'll see in a second has similar properties, it will still work for you. Because most likely the lamp that you have, if it's one that you haven't created yourself, will have a UV unwrap texture that someone's created in another app, and that means that all of these sections that I'm highlighting with the mouse right now will have different faces, and if that's the case, brilliant. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight the lamp. If you've got, let's jump to this lamp and let's make a duplicate copy of this lamp. And we'll use the duplicate and we'll rename that one to tutorial lamp. Perfect. Okay, let's drag that into the scene. So in order to get this effect, what we need to do is we need to, first of all, let's create an emissive texture. So wherever you have your lamp set up in your content browser, we're going to right click. So this is the first step. You're going to right click and we're going to go to material, and we're going to name this one to emissive light source or glow or whatever you want to name it. Just something that you'll remember that you know that this texture is emitting light. So I'm going to press enter. We're going to open that up and we're going to have a screen that looks like this with, you've got a black ball and you've got this panel on the right with all of our inputs. First thing we're going to do is hold free on the keyboard. As you can see at the top right here, I have it set up so you can follow along. We're going to hold free and then left click with the mouse. and we're going to get a free constant. So you got 3 input values for your RGB, and then we're going to select our color. So obviously lights aren't black because they wouldn't emit any light. So we can set that value to white and then move slightly a little bit more of a yellow hue to it to represent an old-fashioned bulb. Once we've done that, you can see that it's changed in our constant with the RGB values there. And then we're going to drag out of the top node for our output into base color. Second step, we want it to have emissive properties, and we can see there that nothing's connected into emissive color. So the next step we want to do is hold M, as you can see there, and then left click to get a multiply. So out of the constant from this top node, we want to drag out into the A value on our multiply. And then we also want a parameter, so it's adjustable. So we're going to press and hold S and then left click. It might put a load of S's in the name bar, but that's fine. We can rename this to glow value. So this is going to give us the ability to apply how much glow or brightness for our texture, how much it emits. So we're going to drag this into B, just like this. If yours doesn't look like this, then I'll give you a second. You can pause it there. Let's make sure you got the same values. You can even copy them numbers if you want to. Okay, so moving on, we go parameter into B, and then from our multiply output, we're going to drag that into emissive color. Now, nothing's happened, right? Because there's no value. So let's set a value. Let's click 5 and then press enter, and now we have a glowing ball of light. So we're going to click apply. I'm going to click save. Make sure you always get used to saving things just in case Unreal decides to have a paddy fit and crash. So now that we've done that and we have our emissive light source texture, we can ignore this. That's just something I'm working on. We can then minimize this, and we can go into our lamp. Up here we'll have selection mode, so you can see where the mouse is now, and then we're going to click the drop down box and we're going to go into modeling. Now if you've never used this before or you're very new to Unreal, don't be put off. We're not going to go through all of these tools. We're only going to scroll down until we see matte ed. Yeah, it's not two guys, it's literally just material edit. So over here we've got our lamp. Make sure it's highlighted with your nice little orange outline, or yellow maybe, and we're going to click on material edit, and we'll notice now that the entire lamp's turned white, and it's now showing us all of the triangles, the faces. If yours looks similar to this and you've got separate faces for the material where the light would come through, perfect. If yours looks similar. If it doesn't look like this and it's different, you might struggle. The only thing I can think of is use a different lamp. If you don't have the ability to select just these, so I'll show you again. So these are the faces we're selecting, because this represents this section of the lamp, and we only want this to glow because this part isn't going to let any light through, so it wouldn't make sense to have that glowing as well. So we're going to go back into material edit, so it's up here, and then we're going to scroll down into modeling, highlight your lamp, click on material edit, and then we're going to up where it says specify radius. We're going to go to radius and select 1. So now we've got a bit more control over where we're clicking, and we're going to highlight all of these so they're red. So that's left click with your mouse and then just hold and drag, and then do all of this. I haven't got any fancy video editing software that I'm very familiar or capable of using. I haven't taken the time to sit and read the instructions on that yet, so unfortunately everything I do is going to be in real time. I can't do any fancy editing where I speed it up. So you're going to have to just follow along, literally. So we highlight all of these faces, selecting every single one of them. And then once we've done this side, we also need to do the inside. And so we go from underneath, and then we highlight the in ones, not the rim, just the material faces. Hope this makes sense. I mean, if you've got any questions, just feel free to pester me in the comments. I'll always reply to everybody as quick as I can. I'll never ignore a question, but obviously keep the comments nice. There's no reason to be horrible. I know there's always trolls out there, but you know, I'm trying to do the world a favour by helping people make their own games. So try and be friendly. Treat people how you want to be treated. Those people that I'm referring to know who they are, because I've already deleted the comments. So just be nice. Once we've done that, we go over to our bulb. So we go from the top. This one's a little bit easier because the bulb is a separate texture or entity within the mesh. So we can change the radius value to 50, hover over the center of the bulb, and then left click once, and it should only select the bulb, which is perfect. Now make sure that's still highlighted, and then we're going to come over back to this left panel here, and then we're going to click on the plus button, so it's going to add a texture element to the lamp, which is like that. And then we want the material that we created. Excuse me. So we go to emissive, and I named it light source, so that will be this one. Now it's still not done, so don't click accept. What we're going to do is make sure it's selected here, because that becomes our active material. That's the one we're applying to where we've painted. So onto emissive light source, we're then going to select it, which is this element index 1, and then we're going to click assign active material, and then click accept. So now you know, or you'll notice, that the lamp is now glowing. Good, so that's that step done. We've now created a separate element that we can apply textures to within our blueprint. So the next step is we want to make this into a blueprint, so we can control it just like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to control and space to go into our content browser. From here we are going to create a blueprint, so I'm going to find a space there, blueprint class, and then we want to select actor. Once we've created that, I'm just going to name this tutorial lamp. You can name this whatever you like. Tutorial lamp BP. And this is the actor that we want into our blueprint. So we're going to open our blueprint up. You should have a screen that looks like this, which is empty. So you should have tutorial lamp, well, whatever you named it at the top, and then default scene root. So we're going to minimize that, right click, browse to asset, so it highlights it for us. And then we're going to go into our, back into our BP, and then we're going to drag and drop that in to the scene. So now we can see here that we have our lamp created with our glowing texture. The cool thing is you can literally change this now. You can have multiple, you can go in there and change it and have a red glow, blue glow. You can make all the lights turn red in your scene for a horror game. So from this screen, what we want to do is add a point light. So we're going to go to point. So at the top here on components, we're going to click add a point light. So point, and then the values on this are going to be way too high. We only want it to be around, I'd say maybe 5. and we want 2 of them. So Control C, Control V, and we want one to be slightly offset and one to be slightly inside of the lamp. And then we're going to test that in our scene. So let's get rid of this. Let's place a wall here. Let's move this out slightly. Let's drop our light down to 0.2 and let's pop that into the scene just to test how that looks. And yeah, that looks pretty good. So it's completely adjustable. We can change things as we go. You can adjust how much light's given off, the attenuation distance of each of the point lights. So what we can do there is we can, because of performance reasons, we can make sure that's stationary, and of the other one as well, make sure that's stationary. So movable lights is things like flashlights or car lights. So if you're driving around in a car and you've got your headlights on, they're dynamic because the light's moving with the object. A stationary light is something like a ceiling light or a lamp. If you want a lamp that can be interacted with where it moves, so it can be picked up and thrown, well, obviously it's going to be plugged in, so it depends on the cable length, but if you want a lamp that can be moved and thrown around, it'd have to be set as movable. A static light is something that will not cast dynamic shadows, and it can't move, it won't move, it only casts shadows of objects that do not move in the scene. So it's good for things like heavy cupboards or beds or units. So with our lamp now, we've got so we've done the texture, we've set up our emissive light source and applied that. Now we don't want this to be our default texture because the lamps, unless you want your lamp on at the start of the game, then yeah, fair enough, you would, but we're going to have this set to the original. But first of all, let's set up our code. So we go into event graph. I'm going to get rid of these 3 default nodes. I'm going to add a custom event. So add custom event. I'm going to name this turn lamp on. And then we're going to Control C and Control V. And then we're going to rename this one to turn lamp off. And then we're going to save, compile, and we're going to do 2 lines of code and then a 3rd one at the top. But they're not that long, it's quite easy to follow along to. So the first thing we want to do is, we know that we want to set the materials. So in order to do that, we need our lamp, which is in our components outline at the side. So we're going to drag that in and get a reference to it. And then out of the output, we're going to set material. And you'll see that we have material that we want to set it to and the element index. Now that's important because we created, if you remember, we did our emissive and we created a new element for our materials, which is element 1, and it's currently set at 0, which would represent this one, so we need to change that to 1, and then we can plug that in. So that's that bit set up. So when our lamp's on, what texture do you think we're going to have in this box? Exactly, so we're going to use the emissive. So we're going to go to our emissive texture that we created, which is this one, whatever you named yours to, and we're going to go back into our blueprint now that we've got it highlighted, and we're going to apply it. So if you can't find yours and you want to type it in, you can just click on the drop down box there, the arrow, and you can type in there. So the next thing we want to do is turn on our point lights. So we're going to drag them into the scene, and that one too. So both of them, and we want to set visible. So set visibility. So right click and then set visibility. Yeah. Now we can plug both of them in there, and let's neaten this up a little bit. So our new visibility is going to be on, and because this is a boolean, we want to tick the box. I'm going to drag out of the output into the input of set visibility, and then that's pretty much it. Now we want to have some kind of audio play, just so we know that we've clicked it. So we can do play sound at location, and then we can Control C and Control V, and then out of our, sorry, not our point light, what am I doing? This one. Control C, Control V, or you can just drag and drop that in. And then out of this, we're going to get a get world location. Excuse me. And then we're going to plug that into here. So the location of the sound is coming from where the lamp is based in the world where you placed it in your map. I hope that makes sense. So what's going to happen is we're going to fire off the code. It's going to play a sound that the player has clicked the lamp to interact. It's going to set the texture of the material that we created to initiate the light being on, to show to the player that the light is on. The lights are going to come on pretty much straight away as that material changes, as your light source, so it's emitting an extra light source from the lamp. So that's done for turn on. That's how simple that is. So we're going to get a switch. See if we've got any light switches. That'll do. So switch light on. If you haven't got any, just quick Google search. You'll probably find some for free online. So just to double check to make sure that's right. So the audio plays at the location of the lamp on our custom event turn lamp on. It applies the texture to the lamp in the areas that we painted. So index 1. And then it turns our two lights on. So they need to be off by default. So highlight both of them and then visible, off, and then comply. So the next step is we're going to do all of this but in reverse. So we can highlight these and then hold shift and then highlight the rest of them, and then Control C and then Control V. So now we're going to plug that into there, but we're going to change a few things because we don't want it to be the same as the on. We want it to be off. So how do we do that? Well, what we're going to do is, if you've got a switch on, switch off sound, first thing we're going to do is change it to switch light off. And the next step is we know that we no longer need it to be emitting light. So we go to our lamp, get rid of that, and we want this material. So we're going to click on our browse to, and it's highlighted it there for us. So then we can click here and apply that in. So then it will reapply that original material back to the lamp when the lamp's off. And of course the light is now off, so we don't want the lights to be visible, so new visibility off. That is that done. So let's highlight these, C to comment, turn lamp off, and that'll do. And then for this one, do the same, C to comment, turn, lamp on. So that's that done. Now we need a way for it to communicate with the player to tell us that, yeah, the player's clicked left mouse button. So the first episode that I made is where this comes into play. So what we're going to do, you'll see this little tiny gear here, so edit class settings. So we're going to click on that. And then if you followed the first tutorial, which is the setting up your blueprint interface, then we're going to go down to where it says implemented interfaces. I'm going to click on add, and then you're going to search for whatever you named yours as. Now I know mine is use, open, close as a default. Then we're going to save, and then we're going to compile. And now we have an ability to call a global function for all interactable objects within the game. So we go to event use. Let's see if I can find the right one. That's the one, yeah. And it should have this blueprint interfaces symbol. Now what that means is that a blueprint can interact with another blueprint without having to call it within the level blueprint itself. So blueprints can't usually communicate with blueprints, but if you have them in the level and you call them within the level blueprint, then you can, but this enables you to do that without having to go through that extra step. So this is a good way of communicating with multiple blueprints with just one click of a button. So we need to create a custom event for this to call. So how do we do that? Well, what we need to do first is we're going to go down here to the left side of the screen where it says variables, and then we're going to click the plus button to make a boolean. We're going to name this one is on question mark, because we're querying whether it's on true or on false. We're going to drag that into the scene, and then we're going to get. Another way to do that is hold left control and then drag and drop, and it'll automatically get that for you. And then we're going to hold B to get a branch. We don't want this yet. And then we're going to add a custom event. So add custom event. And then we're going to create a toggle event. So toggle lamp. And then we're going to plug is on into our condition. So this is going to check the condition of that question. Is the lamp on? Yeah. Okay. Turn it off. Is the lamp on? No. We'll turn it on then. So we're going to plug that in. This is literally just yes or no, true or false. When you start to understand branches, you can set up really cool advanced blueprints. So, excuse me, stay hydrated. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to call our, so if you look over here where you can see graphs, we've got turn lamp on, turn lamp off. Now these are the two the events, the custom events that we created. We've got one there and we've got one there. So this is easy and you can do this yourself. Is the lamp on? So what do you think goes in the true box? If the lamp's on, we don't want to turn it on, so it goes off. Is the lamp on? True, we'll turn it off. So then in the false box goes on. But this is done, but there's no way of this knowing if the lamp is on because we haven't set this. If you notice when I dragged it into the scene, it gave me two options. Set is on and get is on. So how can it get it if it hasn't set it? And that's where it comes into play here. So what we want to do is drag our boxes out. We're going to drag our is on to the end here. And we're going to do the same. We're going to drag our is on to the end here. Now, this is even more simple than the previous steps. Is the lamp on? It is on. Yes. Is the lamp off? It is off. No check. So don't tick this box. Leave it blank. And that's that done. So now this knows if it's on, turn it off. If it's off, turn it on. So we're going to comment on that. So highlight it all, C to comment, toggle lamp on or off, depending current state. So that's that done. And then all we have to do here is enable a global function and that is toggle lamp. Done. Toggle lamp event use. So all that's done. Save it, compile it, and then we're going to make sure that our default, so we're going to select our lamp, so we're going to make sure that that's in the scene, which is this one, and we're going to make sure our default texture is set to this, because we don't want it on. And then if we test our code, perfect. So when we go into the game and we walk up to it, oh, which one was it? Was it this one? Yeah. We can then select it. So was it this one? What did I do wrong? Ah, okay, right. So if you went into the game and it didn't work for you, then because the way the game detects tracing, line tracing, it's looking for collision, and there's nothing colliding with this lamp because there's no collision set up. So we need to find that lamp that we created, our tutorial lamp, which is this one, and then we need to go to, which one was it? It was this one, I believe. So drag that in, and then, so this is the one that we used in our blueprint, and we want to open this up and add a collision to it. So you should have a screen that looks like this, and we can go down until we see project default under collision. So collision complexity, and then you want use simple collision as complex, and then we want to add a box to that. So add box simplified, and you'll see it surrounds it with a green outline box. So that's our collision. Save that, go back into the level, and then it should, there you go. So now it knows it's an interactable object. If I left click, light on, light off. I hope that made sense. If you have any questions regarding this, please, please, please ask. I have no problems with replying to everybody. You know, if there's 100 comments, 30, 10, 1,000, I will try and reply to everybody. So I hope you enjoyed watching that. I hope it was informative. I hope you've learned something. If you want to help the channel grow and you want to support the channel, you can just click that subscribe button or click the thumbs up, you know, to like the video. If you want to support it any other way, there's a Patreon account that you can follow the link to, and there's also a PayPal link as well for small donations. But I mean, I'm happy with just a subscribe, to be honest. But thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you in episode 3 coming soon. So take care, enjoy your week, and I'll see you again. Bye bye.